What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Cork. I'm your host, Eric Rocha. You know what I'm going to ask you? Have you? You been eating okay? I mean, look at you. You're wasting away. I really am worried. Have you weighed yourself? Again, you still need more sun. How are you, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I am terrific. My guest today is Robert Vertrees. Love this guy. You're going to love him too. Very funny guy. You can follow him on his social media. He is on Twitter at Rocky Rob. ROCKYROB. Rocky Rob. Funny dude. He's probably listening to this going, I fucking did terrible at this. I don't know why. I gotta fucking promote you. What do you want?
You can act like a man. What's the matter with you? Is this how you turned out a Hollywood Pinocchio that cries like a woman? What can I do?
Sorry. There's a lot of pent-up aggression. Something interesting happened before I start the show. God, there's no easy way to put this. I saw, one of my favorite porn stars. And, it was strange because he was walking across the street. He literally walked in front of my truck. And my eyes followed him. My eyes met his eyes. And I knew that I would spend the rest of my life with him. And I knew that he looked at me like it was probably like a science experiment that had gone terribly wrong. But I could see myself with a white picket fence, just grilling burgers, and he'd be like, in like a weird dress. I don't know why he's wearing a dress, but he'd be like, is my burger ready? And I'd have it ready when it's ready. I just see myself in his eyes. And then he went into the club where I presume he was dancing, because he had like a half-cut shirt and just a really slutty outfit on. And then that was it. He was gone. I'm telling you, man, when you see a porn star in Los Angeles, it's like finding a four-leaf clover and then realizing that luck isn't real. Anyways, very fascinating time. But equally fascinating, here's my buddy Robert Vertrees. Not talented enough to. I'm joking. So, okay, your mom.
Oh, we're talking
you're
about
mad at your mom.
You are. You're trying to make me the first guest to cry on this. Hey. Oh, no, it would have been nice. I would have done better at school, I think, if she would have figured out to make education competitive. I think that would have been the one way to get to me. Because I was just... School was easy, so I didn't try. I was like, all right, all I have to do is show up and I'll get C's. Right? I'll get A's on tests and F's on homework, and I'll get a C, and then that was good enough to get me to college. And then it was college is when I actually bared down, and because teachers didn't give a shit about your citizenship grade type of thing. That was always my problem. It was I would not get good citizenship scores or whatever it was where they judge you for your personality. Right, which is why I was like, I want to go into stand-up. I'm going to go into that one thing where people need to like you, because that's my biggest deficit. But then I got to college and I had like a 3.9 something GPA or whatever, and then that's what got me to UCLA. And
Really?
But high school, and all the grades earlier, I just putzed around because it was easy. But yeah, I guess I am pretty competitive.
Where are you from originally?
San Diego.
San Diego. God, everybody says East Coast, right?
For my accent, or
they just imagine you're from the East Coast?
Yeah, they always think I'm from somewhere else. And so I learned, when I started going to UCLA and everybody would ask where I was from, they thought I was from, Texas or something. They thought I had an accent. And then when I would say San Diego, I'd see the disappointment. So I learned to just say, oh, I'm from down south. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were from down south. Right? So I wasn't lying. And you're from Colorado?
That's
Why
where
do I
I'm
think?
from.
Why do I think you're from Texas? Why did I always think you were from
A
Texas?
lot of Mexicans are from Texas.
That's why. It must have just been.
Seriously, especially around here.
Should have been racial profiling. That's why.
You're usually good at it, though.
It works. You're right.
We take a left at the drop of. No, it's funny because you're athletic.
You're great at racial profiling. Your racism is like top 99%.
Building the perfect beast.
If you make him, we can.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard for you because, oh God, this is gonna sound like such an ass kissing fest. If you're good at boxing and you're good at stand up because you are. I mean, do you eat shit at theater? I mean, give me something you.
I was actually pretty good at.
Get out.
My problem with acting is like I never did it growing up. I was never into drama or theater or anything. I got to UCLA. I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I was taking like all the pre-law stuff, the political science, and I wasn't cutting it. And I didn't have the verbal skills, the reading and the writing. And I was boxing, and at the gym where I was boxing, LA Boxing Club, it was a big place, 2 stories. They had a bunch of rings, a bunch of rooms, and they would always shoot stuff there. They were always shooting music videos, TV shows, movies, commercials, and they would grab me because I was like the only white guy there. Whenever they were shooting this stuff, they'd grab me and like, hey, come walk through here. And so I wanted to be prepared just in case any director came up to me and was like, hey, do you know how to act? And I figured acting might be a little bit like boxing. It doesn't matter if you're undefeated on the street. You put you in the ring with someone who knows what they're doing, it's going to be very obvious you don't know what you're doing. And so I took an acting for non-majors course at UCLA to get better at that. And then I liked playing Jeopardy. I was always that asshole that never did homework, but I was good at Jeopardy. Except I didn't know anything about theater. Anytime there was a category about theater, I knew nothing. So I took a history of like musical theater course or something just so I could get better at Jeopardy. So I took this acting class in case a director asked me if I could at the gym. And then I took the history course just so I'd be better at Jeopardy. But then it turned out that the teacher of the theater course was the chairman of the department. And I was going to have to miss a class because I was going to have a fight. So I went to him and was like, hey, I have to miss next Thursday. And he's like, for work. He's like, what do you do for work? I'm like, oh, I'm a professional boxer. And he liked that. He was really into that. And then next thing you know, he was saying, why don't you come be in the theater department? And I'd heard about how like exclusive their theater department was. It was like top 1 or 2 all the time as far as programs in the country. And I knew that like not that many people got into it. And I figured if I had a chance to get into it, even though I'd never done theater or drama before, that I should probably take this opportunity. Plus, I was getting my ass kicked at pre-law. And so that's why I went to theater. But I didn't have any background in doing this. But what was the point to the story? The point is, like, then they started giving me these acting roles. And for some reason, I became the character. Like, I never had any background or was conscious, this is my process, this is how I approach roles. Just subconsciously, if you give me a script to memorize, I just started becoming the character. And so it was this very weird, like natural method actor type of thing that you had me playing a cowboy. Next thing you know, I was out riding horses in Malibu like every weekend. You had me playing this guy who was like a housekeeper and my apartment was immaculate. And I would just take on roles. So yeah, I was decent at acting, but also that's because everybody else was pussy. And then they finally gave me a role. Like, these roles were written for dudes, and there weren't any of those in the theater department. He's like, here you go, take this.
That's what I loved about theater school, though.
Like, nobody else can do this Sham Shepherd stuff. And I'm like, oh, you guys don't know what it's like to have the old man that's fucking drunk? Here, I'll show you. This. Everybody's like surprised, like, oh my God, this is so profound. Like, this was last Tuesday for me.
He's a revelation.
And so yeah, I'm okay.
Who's your favorite playwright?
I'd have to go Shepherd just because his there's so many roles for me, but I'm probably one of the most uneducated theater majors you've ever met. Like, everybody just assumes that I know Shakespeare and all this stuff. It's like, no, I did enough just to get by.
How is that program set up? Is it?
Well, I was on the acting track, so it was basically like a conservatory for acting, in that we had voice class probably at least 3 times a week. We had movement class, I think 3 times a week. We had our acting class 3 times a week. So, like, almost every day you're doing something acting wise, and then you had to just fulfill the other parts of the program, like taking the history courses, and electives where, like, you have to build props and do wardrobe.
The electives were just bullshit. I remember the electives always felt like, you guys need me to do something so I can get this credit.
You just need help with this, with a play that you're putting on. You want me to sew a pillow? Okay, fine. Yeah, I'm sewing a pillow.
Yeah, exactly. Is this indentured slave?
Where did you go? Which program were you in?
I hate naming it. It's the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. It was AMDA. The reason I hate naming it is because I don't feel that they help their students a whole lot. I got lucky. I did a play with the artistic director, and then
because I forgot I was talking to someone who knows what they're talking about. I was explaining it to you like you're an idiot, and I was like, "Oh, duh."
No. I did that in New York. I did the Conservatory, but then they opened up a sister school out here, and they needed to get people through the program. So I ended up getting a scholarship, and they were great to me. They moved me down, like, literally they paid for my rent for 2 years to live here and
to come out here.
Yeah, to finish the degree. And it was, I had just broken up with my ex, and I needed, dude, it was bad.
The guy who didn't know you were gay?
No, well, no, he knew.
I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about. Like, what stories do we talk about after our sets that?
No, so this was he was a great guy, because if he ever hears this, I'll have to explain it to him.
What's his name?
His name was Thomas. And
hi, Thomas.
No, so here's the bad thing. We broke up, but we were still living together in a 1-bedroom in New York, and it was fucking miserable, like, for both of us. And I remember hearing about that program in LA, and I was like, fuck, LA sounds so much better right now than anything else. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to apply for that. And I got in. Luckily, the artistic director, he was really good to me, because like I said, we did a play together. So he flew me to LA, and then they paid for my rent for, they put me up for 2 years. And I had to have like a GPA that was pretty good, and I did. It was fine. But I got my degree that way. And I don't even know if it's a real fucking degree, to be honest. But I was like, really? Like, I can get a job with this? Like, because you realize in the theater world, it means absolutely
it doesn't mean anything.
Zero,
that piece
nothing.
Of paper.
But it was just interesting, though. I was glad that I got to spend time doing theater in New York, because that felt like where I learned discipline.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I learned how to act out here. That was, because I always say the big evil was to come to LA in theater. And I was telling Luke about that, because it was like, well, they do it for money, but then you look on Broadway, and it's like, oh, you see Usher in Chicago, and you're like, why the fuck is Usher in Chicago? Like, that's 50 actors that could do that part really well. But the bottom line is like, oh, well, they need to fill seats too.
Yeah. And it costs so much to put on a production now.
It does. So,
all right. So when are we going to start this thing, and we'll start talking about funny stuff?
Oh, we've already started. We're about 15 minutes in.
No, we're scratching all that stuff.
So you do theater.
I don't do it. I haven't done it in a while.
Hang on. You do theater. I'm going you through your timeline here.
All right.
So you do theater. You're boxing professionally. Where does stand-up fall in the mix of this?
A lot later. It was just one of those revelations that in my head, growing up, grown-ups would say, oh, you're going to be a stand-up comedian. It was never a compliment, right? It was always, they're basically just calling you a smart ass. But it was still in the back of the head that's like, oh yeah, something's going to happen to me. I'll be a stand-up comedian. But then I realized nobody's going to come to my apartment and discover me. I actually have to go out and do it. And so yeah, it took a while for me to realize that it's like writing a screenplay. It's like you want to be a screenwriter. You don't just sit in your apartment and wait for somebody to come up to you and say, hey, do you want to write a screenplay? Like, yeah, I'd love to. Okay, well, here's $500,000. It's like, no, you have to write on your own and have something to show for it. And so, I don't know, it's just always something that was like kind of in the back of my head. But it was never something, I didn't like grow up knowing that, oh yeah, I'm going to be a stand-up. The second I turn 18, I'm going to go find a stage and start doing it. I never really had anything to talk about, so it took me a while until I finally, and the truth is, if Twitter had been around, I probably wouldn't be doing stand-up. I could have gotten all these one-liners and these thoughts out of my head, right, and just put it out into the universe. Like, all right, good, it's out there, other people have seen it, right? I don't need to get on stage and say, hey, it's a good thing homeless people don't vote because they would be for global warming, right? No, I can tweet that and then go to a 9-to-5 and actually pay a mortgage and support a family.
See, it's interesting because you have options, though, because you're not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's harder.
I think that's why everybody resents me. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that guy actually has the discipline and the work ethic to do other things. Because that's the joke. Is like, stand-ups. A lot of people think stand-ups, they're doing stand-up because, like, they can't do anything else. Like, no, it's because they can't do anything. It's... But I didn't have anything to talk about when I was younger, and so now it's like, okay.
What comics did you like growing up?
I had a friend that was really into it, and so it wasn't really what I liked. I would go over to his place, and that's where I'd hear Carlin, I'd hear even Paul Rodriguez, Robin Williams a lot.
Dude, I really liked Paul Rodriguez. I remember listening to him in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And he had a bit about fucking idiots.
Oh, yeah?
And they were the most dangerous idiots because they were breeding and spreading the seed. It was a good bit for the 90s.
I liked his bit. I think a condom came off. Right? And he went in to get it because I don't want my baby being born with a wetsuit. Right? And my watch came out. I pulled out a watch. It was the wrong one or something. Like, I pulled out 2 watches. I saw him get heckled off stage at the Comedy Store.
No shit.
Yeah. My friend's mom does stand-up. We're not allowed to tell anybody that she's his mom. Right? If anybody asks, she's his sister type of thing. But she brought us, she was performing, so she let us come in and hang out in the back of the room. And I remember she asked if we wanted anything. And I was like, a Heineken. And she brought me a beer. And then that's when I realized what I was looking for in a woman. It just, something happened inside of me. Like, a chick just brought me a beer, and that was it. That's all I need. and then Paul Rodriguez came out to just work stuff out or whatever, and it was so bad. He got heckled, and halfway through it, he's like, okay, well, fuck this, and he just walked off. And
no shit.
Yeah, that was a fantastic education for me.
Wow.
I was never thinking that I was going to try stand-up. I was just going to watch it because, someone says, hey, come to the Comedy Store for free. I'm saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to take you up on that offer. And then to see that happen, and you realize, well, if even he, is getting heckled off stage, it's a jungle out there. But as far as stand-up, the reason I got into it, yeah, it was one of those things that was always in the back of my head. But I started going to UCLA, and I was playing a lot of basketball. And I was in, doing political science. I was in a course called History of, it was Malcolm X and the History of the Black Liberation. So my first semester, my first quarter at UCLA, I knew every black person on campus because of the basketball and the Malcolm X course. God damn it, I wish we could just...
Oh, we're keeping all of this
edit
in.
Shit.
Did you hear black in the middle of all of that?
Vertrees and why he's problematic. I can see the Jezebel headline. All right. And so I was in a 3-on-3 tournament, and we got second place. And part of our prize package was tickets to the Laugh Factory on like college night or whatever. So then I go down to the Laugh Factory, just watch that night. Fine. Nothing. It was a pretty fun night. Like Ralphie May was there. There was a couple of people. But then I'm having a fight. I get out of the ring after my fight. Sitting front row was a comedian who I recognized from the Laugh Factory. It was a guy named Butch Bradley. And he was a guy he was with Mitch Mulaney. So anyways, I get out of the ring. I see him. I'm like, hey, comedian. And then so it was this weird dynamic where like I was the star for him because I just put on the fight of the night. But he's the star for me because I saw him perform at the Comedy Store, at the Laugh Factory on the Sunset Strip, which I thought that was like the mecca of being a stand-up. And so I see him, and then like we hit it off, and I remember it being so foreign to me to see a stand-up comedian at a boxing match, because there was just something in my brain that made me think that like stand-up comedians were not manly men. For some reason, there was something in my brain that made me think the reason they tell jokes is to avoid confrontation. And so to see these guys enjoying boxing, which was like a masculine thing to do, and I didn't realize I was wired like that, but it just caused me to short circuit a little. It was like, wait a second. So like a dude can do stand-up, like a dude could be a stand-up comedian. And then that's when the juices started flowing, and that's when the seed really started to germinate. What the fuck does that even mean? And so when I met Butch and Mitch, and these dudes were like manlier than me, and they were stand-ups, I was like, okay, maybe that's something I could pursue someday. And then I went to, Mitch passed away. I went to his memorial at the Laugh Factory, and it was the best memorial I've ever been to. Every person who eulogized him like made me laugh, made me cry. And afterwards I realized that stand-up comedians were just like very good public speakers. They can just take a room full of complete strangers on an emotional journey. And that's when I thought, okay, even if I don't get good at stand-up, those skills are going to be good for anything I want to do for the rest of my life. And then that's when I went to an open mic.
What's one set that really, like if you had to measure all the comics you've seen, what's the best set you've ever seen?
Live?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm sure it had to be probably Bert Kreischer.
Really? Bert?
Yeah. Well, because I knew Bert before I did stand-up. I know Bert from playing poker. Like Bert came to my birthday parties, and I went over to his place to watch fights and stuff before. Actually, I haven't seen him in years. I haven't had any contact with him in a while. But I would go see him when he would perform at the Improv. Like for his first special, he got a couple limousines and like drove us down to watch him during his special. So it was a good time. But yeah, I've seen him just absolutely murder to where I'm getting an ab workout for the whole time. Like I can't breathe, and everything he's saying is causing a physical reaction to how hard I'm laughing. So it's probably Bert in real life. He's the hardest. I've listened to D'Elia just absolutely destroy a room, and it's caused me to question everything about me. Like, why am I doing this? Because I've heard D'Elia at like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning just destroy the Improv. And these people, they're all laughed out. Like, everybody could have a good excuse for why this room didn't work, and he just goes in there and just tears it apart. Like, it's not even about what he's saying. Just the fact that the decibel level of the audience from whatever he's doing at this time of night. And I'm like, I don't think I can ever do that. So why am I even trying? But personally, listening to the material, I guess Bert's probably the hardest I've seen crush in real life. What about you?
Oh, Mooney.
Oh yeah,
That was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen, because he just sat on this chair, and I remember he was making fun of Aretha Franklin, and
as you do.
This is what was crazy though. It was an entirely black audience, okay, completely black audience, and the joke he was telling was how it was lucky that it was Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl and not Aretha Franklin. He said, because if it was Aretha Franklin, they would have had to cancel the Super Bowl because white men would have thought Mammy was back.
Oh,
And it hit, and then he goes, don't get quiet on me now. He goes, have you seen those titties? And he said, you would have to watch one titty on your big screen, and you would have to go next door to see the other titty. And he said, because the bitch is as big as a duplex. And when he said she's as big as a duplex, everybody got mad. This room full of fucking just rowdy people. They got mad at him. And, oh, boo. You even heard low boos. Even little bellows. And Paul Mooney he leaned forward. And he goes, fuck all of you. And he goes, no, because I've known Aretha for a very long time. He goes, so fuck all of you. And he got very quiet. Everybody got really quiet. And he goes, I was there that night that Aretha was probably the maddest. Where the fuck were all of you? And he said, what I'm talking about is that Spears bitch. What's her name? And everybody goes, Britney Spears. Yeah, I remember when she called Tina Turner the Queen of Soul. He goes, and absolutely. He goes, I was there for Aretha Franklin that night. Where the fuck were all of you? And he goes, yeah, I was there for her. He goes, I had to calm her down. And he goes, I told Aretha, I said, chill. You're the Dairy Queen now. And dude, he brought all of these people back. They were so fucking angry. But when he said, you're the Dairy Queen now, everybody felt like just, like even I was like, Jesus Christ. And he leaned back and he started laughing. And he goes, mean, but funny. And I'd never seen somebody do that with a crowd where he pissed them off and he doubled down on it, like to a point where...
And got them back.
Yeah. It killed me. Like, I will never do that. I know that in my heart. I've talked to Joey Diaz about it because Joey used to tell me, try trying to follow that. And he'd say, try following that. And it's funny because I've seen Joey murder too. But when we would talk about Mooney, what was so funny is you would just stand in kind of a reverence of like, oh my God, yeah, I've seen that guy do things that no earthly human should be able to do.
It's like you're reciting a legend of lore.
It really was though, because they would say, Paul, talk about this. Talk about, talk about, what is it? Lil Wayne. Talk about Lil Wayne. I remember one night he did his joke. He's like, oh yeah. He goes, oh, I don't know why he did the things he did. He had everything he could have wanted. And he says, now look at him. He's in jail. He's Lil Wayne in jail. And he goes, they're trying to hide him from Big Wayne. And people would just that perfect lull, and then boom, he'd smack you with it, and he would just sit there and he would do this cheeky little grin. And I mean, it was legendary. It was, and to hear him talk about Pryor makes me so upset that I never got to see Pryor, because Paul would say, "Oh, I'm good, but nobody's as good as Richard." He said, if there was a Mark Twain was the greatest, they said Richard was Dark Twain. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because Joey told you, like, go after him, right? Like, sometimes you have to go after, and that's I'm trying to figure out, like, when you go after them versus when you go after yourself. Just when you lose them, when you feel them pull back, you gotta understand why. Why do they pull back? And I like seeing Burr do that. It's like he understands, when do I need to make fun of myself versus, you laughed at that earlier, but that was too far. And I've seen him a lot of times lose the room, and sometimes you think, was that on purpose?
I've heard that they do that sometimes. I heard Chris Rock and Louis C.K. talk about that they reached a level back then where they were so popular that they actually had to dump a joke to kind of, and then to dig yourself out of that hole, which like before I thought that is so amazing. What an incredible display of talent. But now I feel like comics have such a shelf life that would scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And it's shitty because you spend so long trying to do this thing, and then you get,
I never thought of it like a shelf life, but you're right, because it's not the I would say the comedian that has the shelf life. It's the comedy.
Yeah, the relevance.
Yeah,
Attell used to say comedy and jokes were like fireworks, and that you just, yay. All right, what's the next one?
Because it seems like what we like just changes. It's like Mike Myers movies used to be huge.
Yeah, remember like,
and then Wedding Crashers comes along and like, okay, we're good. We don't need any more Mike Myers. And then like 40-Year-Old Virgin, like, oh yeah, that's what we're into. And then pretty soon all that stuff's done.
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
let's get him in everything.
You're right. And then it was all the Anchorman shit. And then now I don't know what's funny now.
I was gonna say Steve Carell, and then no more. Let's make him drama.
Because also the problem with what we're doing, when we watched on screen, it's like that was funny maybe 3 years ago. Like the amount of time it took to write that script and then shoot it and then cut it and actually distribute it and get it onto a screen. The stuff we're hearing every night is like at the forefront of what's comedy. Because like if you can't get attention at an open mic or, even at the Comedy Store or whatever, like it's not funny. So like the stuff we're hearing is the best of the best. And then when we go see a movie, it's like, oh yeah, but that was funny 3-6 months ago.
Exactly. How relevant is it? It's scary. Let me ask you though, with boxing and with stand-up, I mean, were there any similarities? I mean, in terms of disciplines.
Well, boxing, I'd never got punched in my soul. Let's see. I'm sure there is. I think there's more similarities with theater training in stand-up as far as stage presence, understanding how to stand and talk. But the boxing thing, I've never been in a stand-up situation where the stakes were as high as a boxing match or even a sparring session, right? Because you can't play boxing. People say that, but the truth is, anytime you get in the ring, there's permanent ramifications, right? Like if you're not in great shape, you're going to get your teeth knocked out, you're going to have your IQ lowered, you're going to get your nose broken. If you don't perform to the best of the ability, there are permanent punishment for that. Whereas with stand-up, the stakes have never been that high. But I'm pretty sure just getting on stage, the fact that nobody's punching me in my face kind of helps with the level of nerves. It's like my dad was in Vietnam, and sometimes when you'd ask him how he's doing, he'd just say, well, nobody's shooting at me. I was like, all right, that's
a measurement, though.
Yeah, and it teaches you how to put things into perspective.
Wow.
And then my mom, on the other hand, would always tell me, like, and whenever I was whining about something, she would always say, well, if that's the worst thing that happens to you, you're going to have a pretty nice life. And so...
You're like, Jesus Christ, cut my fucking finger off it.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's the worst thing is I go through life with 9.5 fingers. You're right. It's going to be a pretty charmed existence. Thanks, Mom. Can we get a tourniquet? But, so that's just as far as boxing and stand-up. It helps you put things, into perspective and understand that, this could be a lot worse.
What's your record as a boxer?
Undefeated. 3-0. Just 3-0. People listening to this, looking up my record. Yeah, damn it. 3-0.
Which one was the toughest fight?
Joey Aragon, my second fight. And I talk about him a lot on stage because he has just such an awesome name for a boxer. Joey Aragon.
Was there a moment where you realized, like, fuck, I'm in trouble here?
He knocked me down in the first round. Yeah, he shattered my nose, knocked me down in the first round. And that's one of the things. Mitch was there. Mitch Mulaney was there. And I was like, dude, I can't get my ass kicked in front of a comedian. Like that. And so then that's when, yeah, I just came back and I turned it around. I run the rest of the rounds, and so I beat him on points. But he had his kids there. Yeah, you ever been beat up in front of children? Jesus, it's add some insult to injury. That's humiliating.
So I was gonna say, what did you do? What was your game plan with him then? Or well, let me ask this: what did you fuck up in that first round?
Dude, you ever been punched in the face and your brain's like, yeah, that was a good one. Like that's when you realize, okay, change the game plan. This guy hit so hard. Like every time he hit me, I thought I could be an accountant. And I realized that I was not going to win a punching match against him, but I could win a boxing match. Okay. So I just need to make it look like I'm winning to the judges. Like I realize this is a jury. It's not objective, really. It's subjective. There's judges who are determining who's winning this. And so I stayed just far enough away from him that he couldn't touch me, but I could still hit his gloves and make a lot of noise every time I threw a punch. So it sounded like something was happening. And then I kept walking forward, making it look like I was in charge of the fight. So I figured, well, at least I'm going to win the ring generalship. If any of these judges give a shit about ring generalship, I'm going to win that. If any of them care about effective or aggressiveness, I'm going to win that. And I just need to try and win like 3 out of the 4 categories on the scorecards. And so that's when I went into just win the boxing match, don't win the punching match. And it worked. I tired him out, and I was able to get a split decision.
Why'd you stop?
Why'd I stop boxing?
Mm-hmm.
I'd busted my nose on a headbutt in Oregon. And so in order to let my nose heal, I was wearing this headgear that had a bar across the nose. Usually headgear is just like padding. Like it's just nice and soft. And also another misnomer about headgear, a lot of people think you're wearing that to prevent like head injuries. Like no, it's just so you don't bump heads in headbutt. That's why for the most part, that's why you wear that headgear. But I was wearing the one that had a bar across the nose to protect my nose because it was still healing. And a week before I had a fight, I was supposed to fight this guy. His nickname was Lil Tyson. So I figured he hit hard. He wasn't like the heir to a chicken fortune. Right? I figured he was named after Mike Tyson. And my dumb ass just figured, all right, you're going to fight a guy who hits hard. Let's practice getting hit hard. And so I'd actually paid this guy for sparring. And I kind of just left my head there and was letting him hit me as hard as he could. And then I came back to the corner, and because of the rigidity of the bar, it had sliced my eye. So it busted my eye open. And then we glued that shut. But then when I was going in to see the commissioner before the fight, he noticed that my eye was glued together. And well, you can't fight with a glued eye. And so that fight got canceled. And so basically I had to let my eye heal. I had to let my nose solidify. And I started going to the casino and playing Hold'em. And I started making more money doing that. And I realized I enjoyed sitting on my ass in an air-conditioned casino versus, getting punched in the face by mostly uneducated minorities. Why did I have to do that? I could have just stopped. I could have just stopped at getting punched in the face, and I had to take it. Jesus, Robert.
It's the blood orange tomato juice.
That's what it is. Yeah. It's like when someone gets drunk and all of a sudden they start shouting about like Nazis and fuck the Jews. You're like, what's in this beer?
Everybody looks at the drink. What is it, the 50s?
People get drunk and they apologize. It's like, yeah, it was the alcohol.
Yeah, usually alcohol. It used to go like, oh, I love you so much. I love you. And then it would take a turn where it's like, you know what I love you more than? Those goddamn. And you're like, oh. That's one of those. It's nice, like being a white guy. Like the other night, we're in the room, and then the guy says, "Well, it's nice to have a room full of mostly white guys." And like all of us just reflexively looked over our shoulder just to make sure. Like, oh yeah, is it? Yeah, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, well,
just make sure the coast is clear. All right,
Grandpa'd be proud of me.
But yeah, I started going to the casino, and then my manager, the guy I signed with, was supposed to give me a signing bonus, and he hadn't. And but a check he gave me bounced. And so then that's when I was just like, well, if you're not going to give me money, I'm not going to go to the gym. And I never planned on being like a champion. Like I never went into boxing thinking this is how I'm going to I never planned on my kid's dad being a professional boxer. It was just something I did. I like exercise and I'm a dick. And so I figured, let's combine these. And so it was okay for me to walk away. And plus I'm going to UCLA. Nobody wanted me boxing. Nobody who was in my social circle approved of what I was doing. So it was nonstop every day telling me to stop, don't box. And then finally here was an excuse that I was able to just walk away.
But what I love is it was like a living for you.
Yeah.
That's how you made your money. That's fucking crazy.
And I'm thinking about doing it again because I realized, I'm still angry. So that didn't go away. Nobody told me that. Like, you should stop boxing. And then, there's no longer going to be any road rage. It's like, no. Let me get this out of my system.
I have to tell you, you have amazing restraint. Because I've sat through some...
Have you seen our prison system? You have amazing restraint for not doing 3 to 5 every fucking month. No, it's like every birthday I have, I realize I'm closer and closer to doing time. Is this the year?
What pisses you off the most? Like in today's world, what do you think gets you the most?
I get a lot of road rage.
Really?
Yeah. And I think that's because I've heard it said that when you're driving, you're just at such a heightened sense of awareness, and you understand that the stakes are pretty high. You're driving, people can get killed when you do that, and so I think that contributes to it. But yeah, I go nuts when I'm driving, and plus I have a Prius.
Fuck, so we should have done this in your car.
We should have done, yeah. But one thing that's nice about having a Prius, like looking like me, most people don't expect someone who looks like me to be in a Prius. So I love like pissing off someone in a big truck or whatever, and then getting to the side of them and just seeing their face change, like, shit. Yeah, that guy wants to get out. And
have you ever had someone challenge you in a street fight?
No.
I
mean, not lately. I mean,
yeah.
4th grade, I got into a fight with a kid named Kareem Johnson. Yes, Kareem was black. No, that's not why I fought him. I just know you like that bit.
I do. I love that bit. I feel like this is Conan or Letterman.
But no, I can't remember. But then again, that's why I don't go out a lot. Like last night, we're out, and I realized, I don't do this very often because I try not to be in situations where someone will want to challenge me, where someone will, because that happens a lot. If somebody finds out that you were a boxer, they get a couple of drinks into them and like, okay, I'm going to go take out the biggest guy.
Even just to fuck with you. Mm-hmm. Just say, all right, Mr. Boxer.
I punched one of my friends in the face, and it was afterwards he told me, he's like, because I'd never been punched before. And I'm like, well, yeah, now your nose is exploded. But
you're welcome.
Yeah. No, it was one time a guy was messing with me. It was a good friend of mine. And I was kind of warning him. And then finally, so I just popped him, just a jab right to the nose, and it just exploded. And so that ended it. And then, like, later we were talking. He's like,
wait, ended the friendship, I imagine?
And he explains, like, well, I'd never been punched. Like, so I was asking him, like, why were you messing with me? Why were you hitting me? Why were you punching me? Even after I told you to stop, you kept going. He's like, I've never been punched. Now you have.
Terrible, yeah.
And it may have affected your singing career.
You're a very, how can I put this? I want to say aloof, but
it's not a compliment.
Well, I wondered, like, when you're like, all right, I'll see you guys later. I got to get up early tomorrow. And then you'll leave, and I'm like, did anybody ask him for what? And all the comics are like, we don't really ask that question. What the fuck is he like? Literally one night I wanted to follow you just to see where you went. Just to see you go up into a room and
it's so
maybe
hard
the
to hide bodies these days. Everybody thinks like back in the day you could just dig a shallow grave out in Big Bear. No, like they're recording your license plates.
Your silhouette just strangling a woman or a man.
You have to leave cell phones in certain areas just so it can triangulate and be like, nope, see, that's where the ping was. It's tough.
It's just, yeah, like literally, where the fuck did he go? And and then I would be afraid to follow you because I'd be like, of course he knows I'm following him. Because you have that look on your face at times, which is like, I don't know what he knows, but he knows something.
So when I leave, you go, okay. Because I always leave when I figure I'm not contributing to the conversation. Like if I'm being a third wheel. Like,
are you that calculated? Like, okay, I'm not contributing. I need to leave now.
I don't think I'm calculated about anything.
Okay,
really.
good.
I mean, you just talked about me being aloof. It's like, no, if I put work ethic into my sociopathy, I'd be pretty good at this. I told you, like, I'm in my 40s. I don't even have to choke myself to come. I think I've made it. This is it. Clear sailing. I had a good mom because I could definitely see this going off the rails. I could definitely see me putting...
Yeah, you were loved.
Yeah, and I don't have the work ethic to be a supervillain. Like, I envy Lex Luthor. You get a parking ticket and you built a gamma ray that takes out City Hall. That is fucking motivation.
Did your dad like exercise too?
I think so. My mom was running 5Ks when she was 7 months pregnant with me. And so my parents got divorced when I was 4. So I how much influence my dad really had on me. There's a lot of nature, which is, why I'm the deadbeat that I am. Like, sometimes you can't help it. This is just who you are. That's the DNA. You got that broke dick DNA, and hopefully you can fucking finagle a public school teacher into letting you knock her up. That's what my dad did. And so my mom raised me, but my dad's naturally athletic. Yeah, he played like baseball in junior college, and like he was the only guy on his team who got a hit against like the Dodgers farm team and stuff. So yeah, he's
like a badass.
And he survived, a war in the jungle. He was an Army Ranger. Yeah, he's an Army Ranger, so he's definitely physically fit enough to accomplish that. Yeah, my mom was running 5Ks with me, and she was 7 months pregnant. So she was always going to the gym and stuff. So I got good genes. I won the genetic lottery, I think. What about you? You told me like most of your family's like runners.
Yeah, they're like all in shape. I just I gave up. I saw that and I was like, that's no way to live. Well, and then like they all get surprised when they die of something weird, and I'm like, I don't know exactly why I'm dead when I die.
I remember I watched Tommy Lasorda on Johnny Carson because. This is a long story, but like I got rid of internet a couple years ago. I think I was dog sitting for a friend, and I realized I'm not going to be home for a couple of months. I don't need to pay for internet. And so then when I did come home, though, I didn't have internet, so I was watching antenna television, and that's just all the stuff from the 80s. Basically, it's like, oh, you want to watch Quantum Leap? What about the A-Team? Yeah, sign me up, right? But then every night I would watch Johnny Carson, and I realized what was nice is that I didn't have the internet, and neither did anyone on TV. So it's not like I was being taken out of this world inside my apartment. But I remember Tommy Lasorda was on Johnny Carson, and he was joking about how he started jogging. He's like, yeah, because I want to look good when I die from a heart attack. Right? And like, he was so ahead of his time, and like just being funny about still dying young. But now that he's jogging, he's going to look good when he croaks.
I don't know, dude. Like, I saw Mick Jagger had a heart transplant, or not transplant, a fucking, one of his, he got a stent put in his heart. And then, all these other healthy people, like even Letterman had a heart attack. And in my head, I'm like,
yeah,
all right, 60 is going to be, I don't like it, but I don't know. It's
yeah, and they actually go to doctors and shit. My chick at the free clinic has a nose ring, and she's telling me not to eat bananas because there's too much potassium for my heart problem. I'm like, all right, this isn't gonna last long.
Did that hurt? The nose ring? No, not as much as your heart's gonna hurt. You keep eating those fucking bananas. So you know what was funny though at the bar? So it was you, myself, and everybody that's been on the show, Luke Allen and Lee Syatt.
Thank you for having me.
Oh no, dude, this is something I've wanted to do for a while.
When I understand, you had Luke first, just in case there's technical difficulties. Like, who gives a shit, right? And then you had Lee and you had Potter, because those guys bring an audience, right? And then you wanted to have me, and
I needed muscle.
So I appreciate you having me on. I wish. Too bad this is the worst episode so far. Oh, damn it.
You know what baffled me, though? So we're sitting there at the bar last night, and I'm just noticing I'm all giddy and shit because I'm with friends that I think are funny. And I'm like, man, there's not a bad comic among us. And I'm just sitting there all giddy, like, this is fun. And Luke's checking out the
nonstop.
girl.
That's all he cared about.
And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and then I was asked, like, how do you guys usually get laid, or how do you go about this? And I realized, like, oh, you guys have to, like, get up and talk.
You got to try, maybe take a shower or something. Yeah.
It was just very eye-opening. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, you're right. That was something. I was in the same boat with you, because I was not pursuing or even trying. In fact, I was, like, trying to hide my face. Because, like, I noticed women, like, kept, like, looking around to kind of check me out type of thing. And so I hide my face because I have a face, I used to tell a joke. Like, I got one of those faces that makes people think, haven't I seen that guy in something? But I have a car that makes them think, nope, definitely haven't. But I have a face that some people think that I'm famous or whatever. And so I was covering up my face so that they wouldn't know. Like, they'd still be like, no, I think so. I think that's why he's covering his face, because he doesn't want to see who he is. But yeah, I wanted to have a good time with you and Lee, and then Luke is just like, that pussy's not good enough. That pussy's not good enough. God damn it, look at that. Shit, I guess I would. What would I? Okay, if it's Big Bear and the heater broke, I'd fuck that. I would fuck that. Okay. If I'm in Bakersfield, maybe her. It's Barstow. It's 120 degrees. What are you going to do? You have to stay the night. Okay, her. All right, so I'm a long-distance trucker. I'm in between Modesto and Buttonwell. All right, I'd fuck her, maybe.
Well, I was just amazed, because then, too, we were just coming from the fourth wall, where we had that one female comic come in, and it was just, it was stunning to me. I was like, I don't know, it's funny, because I don't like seeing Luke hit on women, because it nauseates me for some odd reason. And it probably wouldn't just be him. It's just seeing any of my straight buddies.
Yeah.
It's just, I
didn't get it, because you're right. There was a woman in there, and it doesn't register with me. Because what I don't understand is how everybody had such high self-esteem that they thought they even had a chance. Or, like, to even notice that girl. It's like right away she comes into our orbit, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. Right away. And to see you be immune to it, that's so nice. I'm like, to see a guy who's not a prisoner of his sexuality every time a woman walks by, I wish I had those powers. But yeah, the fact that dudes were acting weird just because there was a girl around, it's like, how do you guys not understand none of you have a chance?
You're at an open mic.
Yeah, you're at an open mic, and she's decent looking. Like, look at you. And the one guy who's standing up for her, I'm like, haven't you noticed a pattern? Like, this can't be the first time.
So we're all making jokes about, obviously, a pretty girl at an open mic, and we're all just like, wow, this is fucking crazy. What? Everybody's doing jokes of something of that strangeness. It's not every day that a pretty girl walks into an open mic. So.
And it wasn't weird, though. It's not like anybody was doing weird stuff. No, it's because I've seen weird guys. I've seen weird guys whenever there's a woman around, and it's just they do creepy crowd work.
Yeah.
And ask inappropriate things. It wasn't like that.
No. So
it was Lee saying, to even your knees are hot. Stuff like that. Like, she had torn jeans.
She had these torn jeans.
Oh. And you say,
fucking Lee just goes, even your knees are hot. That was a good joke.
Yeah. And then you saying that, like, what, she had to leave first? Because if we all walked out and then she followed us with torn jeans, like, there was going to be questions.
So then after that, this guy gets up, and shit kind of got out of control where it was like, what the fuck was I? Because I still don't understand what the problem was.
Yeah. Hey, Trent was right. He was trying to be Captain Savo. And
yeah, so this guy stands up, he gets up, and he starts, could you imagine just trying to, this being an open mic, and you're just trying to do jokes, and everybody just wants to have, like, I don't even remember what he said, so I can't.
But it started earlier when you're being a little rambunctious. I mean, that's why I like that room. It's a bunch of animals. And like he was turning around, like trying to tell people to shut up. He's like, "Shut up!" But then he would smile like it was a joke. I'm like, and so I'm thinking, do you guys like have a relationship? Is this an inside joke? Do you tell him to shut up other places and it's supposed to be funny or something? Because it didn't look like.
He was sitting close to her like he had a relationship with her.
The second she showed up, he was, right by her side. And so that's why Trent pointed that out. He was doing the classic cock blocker type of stuff, which I don't care. I'm not paying attention to that. It's not like even I have a chance. Who cares? It's, it's an open mic at 10 o'clock at night. But, yeah, that after he did that, then to still try and be a white knight. And then Trenton just stood up for the room. He's like, we liked her. You do your jokes. Be funny.
Yeah, what I'm trying to take people to the scene. That guy goes up and he starts chastising us for making jokes about her being at the mic. And when we said, no, we liked her. That was what Trenton's. It was during his set, during the guy's set. So Trenton from the audience is saying, no, we liked her. Tell your fucking jokes.
Yeah.
Which... Because at first I thought, oh, okay, like everybody's talking a little bit, but then it got more and more heated as it went on. And then that guy just kind of buried himself. Where he goes, how am I supposed to try to be funny now?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I like that room. I mean, because I tell you the reason why I like it, because A, it's animals, B, it's people I respect. So it's like you can't take a night off. And so it makes my brain constantly trying to write stuff, trying to come up with funny stuff because I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate, Potter and Cooney and like even.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
And so that's one reason I like that room. But then last night I realized another reason I like that room is because that room hits back. Like you can't just go up there and just deliver all the punches because that room will slip and counter. And so you better be on your toes. Protect yourself at all times in that room.
You know what happened last night? I heard you say it, and it made me laugh. Somebody started bombing, and I can't remember who it was. They go, stay in the pocket. And then you go, what the fuck does that even mean?
I said it to Lee, because it was like last time. He's the one who was explaining football. Like, out of all people in this room, Lee's explaining football to you guys.
I was just laughing because it was like, that is a room where even if you heckle and it's a shitty heckle, we'll heckle your heckle.
Yeah. I told you, we need sound drops. We need just hit a button and it's Eric saying more words. It's fun. It's because it's people I respect, and so
you're right though. It is like whenever I look at that 10 o'clock, and if I see like you, Cooney, fucking Puglisi, obviously Lee, Luke, I was in my head, like I'll be all day long, it'll be in my head like, okay, I got to come up with some fresh shit, or I'm going to eat a dick up there. And I'm going to be so mad at myself that I did that. Because, too, like, you look where you're at in the lineup, too, and you're like, okay, fuck. Vertrees is going to come off hot, so I got to write a joke right in the beginning to get him. Which, to me, that's a good thing. Where it's like, if anything, what I've been thinking about is like, I should try to get up first on that 10 o'clock lineup, just to try to open it up. But it's funny because when you do that 10 o'clock, and then I did the Hollywood Wall at 10 o'clock, It was just night and day. It was so different. And I did well in that room, but it was such a supportive room that it was like I wasn't sure of myself because shit that I didn't think was funny was getting great laughs, and I was like, okay, I don't trust the joke now. And then I was very happy to know that more than half of the shit that I did at the Fourth Wall in Hollywood or in that North Hollywood bombed. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Welcome back to fucking Earth.
Oh, I got an accurate assessment. That's like I was listening to Joey talking. He was talking about why he'd been going to the Comedy Store exclusively for the past year. And one of the things he was saying is because
metal sharpens metal.
Metal sharpens, yeah. You know you're getting up before or after. You know you're getting up after Theo or Rogan or D'Elia. You're getting up after someone who just crushed. And that's kind of like why I like doing that room, because I know if it's you or Potter or Cooney or Lee, or I'm gonna be getting up after someone who just had a good set. And so not only is it a bunch of animals that I respect their opinion, but you got to be able to follow a heavy hitter. Like there's enough people that actually do that room that get paid for comedy that I don't know anywhere else, where just for the opportunity cost of the time that you're spending to do it versus what you're getting back. So that's why I like it.
It's tough. And it's funny because whenever we see what I will call an outsider, there were never any outsiders. Fucking Goodfellas. Whenever you see an outsider come into that room too, it cracks me up because it's like, oh fuck.
I love it though. It's like, welcome to Thunderdome. I don't want to say we need fresh meat, but we can't just constantly be like pecking at each other. Bring in. You didn't know this was a cream pie gangbang? You get in line. You're last. Right? It's like,
what's the weirdest thing you've seen at Fourth Wall?
That malnourished anteater that Arthur calls his dick? That thing?
So, yeah, what happened?
First rule. We do not talk about. Oh gosh, this is for 3 listeners who give a shit about
terrifying open mic.
What happened? I think he was doing the type of set he does, right? And it's fine. We're being polite, right? But then he started talking about his grandpa, and I think Mike started clapping. I was like, all right. And so every time he mentioned like his grandpa, we would clap, like we were clapping for the grandpa. And it just kind of broke him. Finally, he just walked off stage, and I thought he might have gone out the back and just left. But then he comes back out with the pants down, and unfortunately, I'm sitting behind like Clean Talking John, and he's not into that. And so, he looked like the victim of like a Me Too incident, and just empathetically, I felt for him. But otherwise, it was a hilarious situation. Like if I'm sitting next to Potter, I would have appreciated it so much. It was like if the locker room scene in Any Given Sunday, but it was all the Make-A-Wish kids that were about to score a touchdown. Like that's what it looked like.
So he walked off stage, and then he just pulled. Am I right about this? He just pulled down his pants. He pulled down his pants, and then he came out and showed everyone in the room his dick. So
he went behind that door, and we're like wondering what the hell just happened. And then the door opens. He comes walking back out, pants around his ankles. And I'm like, oh, that's what happened. And then Potter goes up. It's like, yeah, that was the right move. That was the perfect move. You really had no other card. You had no other card to play. That was the perfect play. And we're back there taking comedy notes. Like, yep, okay, you're right. That was the right call. They start applauding your dead grandpa versus your humor, versus your punchlines. I'm glad he didn't take off his shirt. Shit. I guarantee you there's got to be like just a weird incision somewhere. Right? He's got a zipper scars. He's one of those guys that looks like he had a C-section. Right? Like there's something's tucked.
Oh, fuck. You got any shows coming up, man?
Are you trying to get rid of me? We got to cut the first half hour. We've only done about 15 minutes. Let's see, I'm at the Improv on Friday. Then I'm at the Mecca of stand-up, Universal Bar and Grill on Monday. And then Bang Bang Room downtown. I've never done it. That's Tuesday. And then I think it's Benny Blue. He does is it the Hollywood VFW or something?
Wasn't it the fourth wall, the Hollywood fourth wall?
I don't. Oh, is that what
Unless
that
it
FW
moved.
means for? Yeah, Hollywood fourth wall. Okay, I thought he missed a letter. Right, I thought I was going to be performing in front of some fucking.
Well, that changes the
Some
regalness
world- it
of
does.
it, doesn't it?
Jesus, I was going to go in with my Korea material. Oh yeah. Yes.
What's your social media?
And then Sunday I'm doing Benny Blues thing. I don't know, Rocky Rob, I guess, at Rocky Rob. On Instagram, I think it's at Rocky Rob B. But I don't do anything on social media, so
I was going to say, so how do people find out about your dates and whatnot?
hopefully they don't.
Say you might lose your mind if you don't find the time to lose your fucking mind and just have a good time. Baby, have a real good time.
Alrighty, that was my buddy Robert Vertrees. I love him. Don't fuck with him. He'll make you laugh, and he can punch in the nose, too. You can find Robert Vertrees at Rocky Rob, ROCKYROB. Follow him, check him out. He's another one of these comics that just, I think he's fucking terrific. He's going to do big things. Keep your eyes on him. Great guy. Funny comic. That is it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time, guys.
Maxwell House is going down by the railroad tracks. Mama broken glass. By the railroad tracks, don't mind the broken glass. Say you might lose your mind if you don't find the time to lose your fucking mind and just have a good time. Baby, have a real good time. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it.